The convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, once a friend of presidents and British royalty, is found dead in his prison cell in New York.
Jeffrey Epstein was this billionaire who was into sex with trafficked underage girls. And he had lots of powerful friends like Donald Trump and Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew. Anyway, this year Epstein died in a freak necktie accident while one of his prison guards was blinking for too long. And his friendship with Prince Andrew was on everyone's mind again. So Andrew figured he should go on TV and just draw a line under the whole thing with a great big highlighter pen. It was like this one-off episode of Mastermind where his specialist subject was a dead paedophile. And even though he knew loads about the bloke, everyone seemed to think he got a lot of the answers wrong.
You've been on his private plane?
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island?
Yes.
You've stayed at his home in Palm Beach?
Yes.
It was a really clever format. He had to think up hilarious alibis, and Emily Maitlis had to just try not to piss herself or stand up and lamp him.
I was at home. I was with the children. I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking.
One of his alibis was that he'd been in a Pizza Express in Woking at the time, which is fair enough because I'm sure that would be extremely memorable to him. Maybe he had some vouchers that were about to expire that day. Although for it to be really convincing, he'd probably need to show us some proof like the little menu he coloured in while he was there or something.
She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat.
He said he wasn't capable of sweating because he'd overdosed on adrenaline when he'd been shot at in a war. Doctors said that wasn't possible, but they don't know everything about how the human body works. I mean, doctors still believe in vaccines, and those have been pretty thoroughly debunked by this WhatsApp parents group I'm in.
Anyway, when the quiz was over, he announced that he was stepping down from public duties. I mean, it's hard to even conceive of a world without Prince Andrew's contribution to it. That's Britain fucked now. The worst thing is, now we'll have to hold a state funeral for Prince Andrew's reputation. And how much is that going to cost?
Incredibly, Prince Andrew's interview was only the second most catastrophic TV meltdown of the year, after Emmy-winning drama Chernobyl.
There was this show about a place called Chernobyl, about this sort of Russian factory that went bang. I don't know what they made there, but I think it was bread, because they were all dressed like bakers in the sort of big kitchen, worrying about the dials on their big mixer. You could see they were ashamed that they'd messed things up so much because they kept really blushing, like they'd see what a mess they made and just go totally red with embarrassment.
To be fair, they probably didn't know how the machines in the factory were supposed to work because all the manuals were printed in Russian, which no one can read. When the main bread machine bit blew up, it sent all this flour into the air, and loads of people who got exposed to it had a wheat allergy, so they got bad tummies and came out in a sort of nasty rash. It was a real scandal. I hope Orvis were watching, so this kind of thing never happens again.
The whole area went radioactive. And the scary thing about radioactivity is, it's dangerous even though you can't see it. Like when a paedophile hides under a table.
First, the explosion makes all the colour bleed out of the sky, so everything's grim and depressing. Then there's Trevor off EastEnders stomping around with his bits all hanging out. It was like, all right, mate, this is about a nuclear accident, but does it have to be such a downer?
It turned into a zombie movie, but they were the worst zombies I've ever seen. They just kept lying down and sort of crying. They didn't bite each other.
What was clever was it explained exactly how a nuclear reactor works.
In an RBMK reactor of the type used at Chernobyl, there's something called a positive void coefficient.
Which is it sort of has particles in it and atoms, and they sort of rub together, and then all the power comes out. But if you turn the dial up too much, everything explodes. And I couldn't have told you any of that before.
More astute observations tomorrow, 10:30. Next, it's Newsnight.